Welcome back to Spinning Iris. It is day 26 of Banned Book Month, which means it is time for chapter 26 of Candide by Voltaire. In the last chapter, Candide and Martin met another miserable soul in Venice, and there is still no sign of Cunegonde, or Cacambo, or the old woman. Let's find out what happens next for Candide. Are you ready? Let's go. Chapter 26. How Candide and Martin had supper with 6 foreigners, and who they were. One evening, as Candide and Martin were about to sit down to table with the other foreigners who were staying at their inn, a man with a soot-colored face came up behind Candide, took him by the arm, and said, "Be ready to leave with us without fail." Candide turned around and saw Cacambo. Only the sight of Cunegonde could have surprised and delighted him more. He was nearly mad with joy. He embraced his dear friend and said, "Cunegonde must be here too. Where is she? Take me to her. Let me die of joy with her." "Cunegonde isn't here," said Cacambo. "She's in Constantinople." "Good heavens! Constantinople! But I'd fly to her even if she were in China. Let's go." "We'll leave after supper," said Cacambo. "I can't tell you any more than that. I'm a slave. My master is waiting for me. I have to go and serve him at table. Don't say a word. Eat your supper and be ready." Candide was torn between joy and sorrow. He was delighted to see his faithful friend again, and astonished to see him a slave. He was filled with the idea of finding his mistress again. His heart was agitated, and his mind was in a turmoil. He sat down to table with Martin, who regarded all those adventures with detachment, and with 6 foreigners who had come to Venice for the carnival. Cacambo, who had been pouring wine for one of the 6 foreigners, leaned close to his master's ear toward the end of the meal and said to him, "Sire, your Majesty may leave when he wishes. The ship is ready." Having said these words, he left the room. The others sitting round the table were looking at each other in astonished silence, when another servant came up to his master and said to him, "Sire, your Majesty's carriage is at Padua, and the boat is ready." The master made a sign and the servant left. The others looked at each other again, and the common surprise redoubled. A third valet came up to a third foreigner and said to him, "Sire, believe me, your Majesty mustn't stay here any longer. I'll make all the preparations." Candide and Martin were by now convinced that they were witnessing a masquerade that was part of the carnival. A fourth servant said to a fourth master, "Your Majesty may leave when he wishes," and went out as the others had. A fifth valet said the same thing to a fifth master. But the 6th valet spoke differently to the 6th foreigner, who was sitting near Candide. "Sire," he said, "they won't give any more credit to your Majesty, or to me either, and we may both be in jail before the night is over. I'm going to take care of my own affairs. Good-bye." When all the servants had disappeared, Candide, Martin, and the 6 foreigners sat in deep silence. It was Candide who finally broke it. "Gentlemen," he said, "this is an odd joke. Why are you all kings? For my part, I confess that neither Martin nor I are kings." Cacambo's master replied gravely in Italian, "I'm not joking. My name is Ahmed III. I was a great sultan for many years. I was dethroned by my brother, and my nephew dethroned me. My viziers were beheaded. I'm now finishing out my life in the old seraglio. My nephew, Sultan Mahmud, sometimes allows me to travel for my health, and I've come to Venice for the carnival." A young man sitting beside Ahmed spoke next. "My name is Ivan," he said. "I was once emperor of all the Russias, but I was dethroned while I was still in the cradle. My parents were placed in confinement, and I was brought up in prison. I'm sometimes given permission to travel, accompanied by my guards, and I've come to Venice for the carnival." The third said, "I'm Charles Edward, King of England. My father ceded me his rights to the throne, and I fought to maintain them. The hearts of 800 of my followers were torn out and thrown in their faces. I was put in prison. I'm on my way to visit my father, a dethroned king like my grandfather and myself, and I've come to Venice for the carnival." The fourth then spoke. "I'm the King of Poland. The fortunes of war deprived me of my hereditary dominions, and my father suffered the same fate. I've placed myself in the hands of Providence, like Sultan Ahmed, Emperor Ivan, and King Charles Edward, to whom God grant long life, and I've come to Venice for the carnival." The fifth said, "I'm also King of Poland. I lost my kingdom twice, but Providence gave me another realm in which I've done more good than all the kings of the Sarmatians put together were ever able to do on the banks of the Vistula. I've also placed myself in the hands of Providence, and I've come to Venice for the carnival." It was now time for the sixth monarch to speak. "Gentlemen," he said, "my lineage isn't as illustrious as yours, but I was once a king like any other. I'm Theodore. I was elected king of Corsica. I was called Your Majesty. Now I'm scarcely called Sir. I had money minted, and now I'm penniless. I had 2 secretaries of state, and I now have only 1 valet. I once sat on a throne, and for a long time I lay on a bed of straw in a London prison. I'm afraid I may be given the same treatment here, even though I've come to Venice, like your Majesties, for the carnival." The 5 other kings listened to his speech with noble compassion. They each gave King Theodore 20 sequins with which to buy clothes, and Candide presented him with a diamond worth 2,000 sequins. "Who is this ordinary private individual," said the 5 kings, "who can afford to give 100 times as much as any of us, and actually gives it?" As they were leaving the table, there arrived at the same inn 4 serene highnesses who had also lost their dominions through the fortunes of war, and who had come to Venice for the remainder of the carnival. But Candide paid no attention to these newcomers. His mind was occupied solely with going to Constantinople to find his dear Cunegonde. And that is the end of chapter 26. Thank goodness, not a stressful one. Good news. So Candide is on his way to get Cunegonde. We'll find out more about Candide's voyage to Constantinople in the next chapter. Hope you'll join me then. Take care. Bye-bye.